If your Corolla Cross suddenly smells a little swampy when you turn the fan on, or the airflow feels weak even at higher fan speeds, there's a good chance the problem isn't the whole HVAC system. It's a small, cheap part that gets ignored until it's basically a felt blanket full of dust and leaves. And the funny part is, replacing it really can be a 5-minute job unless you do the one thing that turns it into a broken glove box situation. So this is a straight, model-specific walkthrough for cabin air filter replacement in Toyota Corolla Cross, with the little details that actually matter, where the filter door is, how to lower the glove box without snapping anything, how to read the airflow arrow so you don't install the new filter backwards, and what to check if the cover won't close afterward. First, a quick reality check on symptoms, because this is where people get misled. A clogged cabin filter usually shows up as weaker airflow from the vents, more fan noise for the same amount of air, and that dusty, old book smell when the system first kicks on. Sometimes you'll notice the windows fog more easily because the system struggles to move air. But a cabin filter won't fix everything. If your AC isn't cold, that's a different problem. If the fan barely moves air and you hear a weird scraping sound, that could be debris in the blower area. Still, the cabin filter is the easiest, safest first step, and its maintenance you can actually see with your own eyes. How often should it be replaced? There's no magic number that fits everyone. If you drive in heavy pollen, dusty roads, construction zones, or you park under trees that drop leaves and seeds, you'll load that filter fast. If you're mostly on clean roads, it lasts longer. The better rule is, replace it when the symptoms show up, or check it periodically and decide based on what you see. Once you've done it one time, checking it becomes a quick habit. Now, before you touch anything, 2 small choices will save you time. 1. Buy the correct filter. Online listings can be vague, and some filters look close enough until you try to close the housing door and it won't latch. The safest approach is to match your exact year and trim in a reputable catalog, and if you're unsure, pull the old filter first and compare the size and frame style before you open the packaging on the new one. 2. Decide whether you want a basic particulate filter or a charcoal-activated one. Charcoal can help with odors from traffic and general smells, but it still needs correct installation and it won't erase a deeper mildew issue by itself. Alright, let's get hands-on. You don't need special tools for this. You mainly need patience and a gentle touch, because the only real way to mess this up is forcing plastic parts that are designed to flex in a specific direction. Start in the passenger seat and open the glove box. Take everything out. Not just the big stuff, also pens, coins, receipts, anything that will fall behind the glove box when it drops. This is the part people skip, and then they spend the next 10 minutes fishing a chapstick out of the footwell trim. With the glove box empty, look at the right side of the glove box area. You're looking for the glove box damper, a small arm or strap-like piece that slows the glove box as it opens so it doesn't just slam down. This damper is the difference between a smooth job and a "why won't my glove box close anymore" headache. The damper typically connects to a small peg or pin on the glove box. You don't yank it. You gently unhook it. Usually it's a simple clip-on connection, you nudge it outward and it pops off the peg. If it feels like it's fighting you, stop and look closely at how it's seated. The goal is to release it without twisting it. Once the damper is disconnected, the glove box can drop farther. But it still won't fall all the way down because there are built-in stops on the sides. These stops are meant to keep the glove box from overextending in normal use. To get past them, you compress the glove box sides inward. Think of it like squeezing the glove box wall so the stops clear the dash opening. Here's the key, you're not bending the dash. You're flexing the glove box itself. Put one hand on each side of the glove box opening and gently push the sides inward. You'll feel the stops clear, and then the glove box will rotate down further, giving you access behind it. If you force it downward without compressing the sides, that's when tabs can snap or the glove box can end up misaligned. Now you're looking at the cabin filter housing area behind the glove box. You should see a rectangular access door, basically a small panel with tabs. This is the filter housing cover. It's usually held by clips on the sides. The clips are designed to be pressed in and released, not pried like you're opening a paint can. Press the tabs in with your fingers and pull the cover straight out. If it doesn't want to come, don't escalate to a screwdriver right away. Recheck that you're pressing the correct tabs and that you're pulling evenly. A lot of broken covers happen because one side is still latched and the other side gets twisted. Once the cover is off, you'll see the cabin air filter. Slide it out carefully. Keep it level as you pull it, because if it's loaded with dust and leaves, you don't want to dump that debris straight into the housing or onto the carpet. This is the moment that tells you a lot. Look at the filter surface. If it's dark gray and packed, that's restriction. If you see leaves, pine needles, or seed pods, that's a clue you might want to check it more often, especially if you park under trees. If the filter is damp or looks like it has water staining, pay attention. A wet filter can mean moisture is getting into the intake area, or it can simply be heavy condensation and humidity combined with a filter that's overdue. Either way, a wet filter tends to smell and can restrict airflow quickly. Also notice how the old filter was oriented. Most filters have an airflow arrow printed on the side. Some say airflow with an arrow. That arrow matters more than people think. Here's why. The filter media is layered and designed to catch particles in a certain direction. If you install it backwards, it can increase restriction, create more turbulence noise, and sometimes it won't sit as cleanly in the frame. People then crank the fan higher to compensate, which makes the system louder, and they assume the new filter is worse than the old one. It's not worse. It's backwards. So when you install the new filter, match the airflow direction to the vehicle's airflow through that housing. In most glove box mounted cabin filter setups, airflow is from the top down, meaning the arrow points down. But don't rely on a generic rule if you can confirm it. Use the clue you already have, the old filter's arrow direction, assuming it was installed correctly. If you're not sure the old one was correct, look at the housing itself. Sometimes there's a small molded arrow or up marking. If there's no marking, think about where the blower is relative to the filter. The blower pulls air through the filter toward itself, so the arrow should point toward the blower side of the housing. Slide the new filter in gently. It should go in smoothly without folding or buckling. If you feel resistance, stop and check alignment. A common mistake is catching the edge of the filter frame on a guide rail, which bends the filter and creates a gap. That gap matters because air will take the path of least resistance. If there's a gap, some air bypasses the filter, and you'll still get dust and odors even with a new filter installed. Now reinstall the housing cover. This is another place where people force it and then wonder why it rattles later. The cover should sit flush and click into place with light pressure. If it won't close, don't push harder. Usually one of three things is happening. First, the filter isn't fully seated. Pull it out slightly and reinsert it, making sure it's centered and riding in the correct grooves. Second, the filter is the wrong thickness or wrong frame style. Some aftermarket filters have a stiffer frame that doesn't match the housing perfectly. Third, the filter is in backwards and the frame shape interferes with the cover. Any of these can prevent the door from latching, and if you force it, you can crack the cover tabs. Once the cover is on, lift the glove box back up. Again, don't slam it. Bring it up until the side stops meet the dash opening, then compress the glove box sides inward the same way you did earlier so the stops can pass back into position. When it's back in place, reconnect the damper on the right side. It should clip back onto its peg without drama. If it feels awkward, the glove box may not be fully seated on its hinges, so lower it slightly and try again. At this point, the physical job is done. But the difference between done and done right is a quick verification. Start the car or put it in accessory mode so the fan can run. Turn the HVAC fan to a medium setting first. Listen. You're listening for a new rattle behind the glove box, which can happen if the filter door isn't fully latched or the glove box damper isn't clipped in. Then check airflow at the vents. You're not looking for a miracle, but you should notice that the air feels less choked, especially at higher fan speeds. Now do a simple smell test. Switch between fresh air and recirculation. If the musty smell is dramatically better right away, the old filter was likely holding a lot of odor. If the smell is still there, don't assume the replacement didn't work. Sometimes the odor is in the evaporator area or in debris that fell into the housing. If you pulled out a filter full of leaves, it's possible some small bits are sitting in the bottom of the filter tray. You can carefully wipe the accessible area with a dry cloth. Don't go deep into the HVAC box with tools, and don't spray random chemicals into the vents unless you know exactly what you're doing and what's safe for the materials. For persistent odors, the next step is usually cleaning the HVAC system properly, but that's a separate job from the filter swap. If airflow is still weak after a new filter, there are a few likely explanations that don't require guessing. One is that the old filter wasn't the main restriction. Another is that the new filter is a very dense type, especially some high filtration aftermarket filters that trade airflow for finer particle capture. That's not automatically bad, but if you prioritize airflow, choose a filter designed for balanced flow. Another possibility is debris near the blower fan. If you hear ticking or scraping that changes with fan speed, that's a clue something is contacting the blower. The cabin filter replacement won't remove that debris if it's already past the filter area. And if your glove box suddenly doesn't open smoothly or doesn't close flush, that's usually not catastrophic. It's typically the damper not reattached correctly, or the side stops not seated. Open it again, check the damper connection, and make sure the glove box sides are properly behind their stops. The parts are designed to go together with light pressure. If you need force, something is misaligned. One more nuance that saves people from repeating the job: keep the old filter for a minute and compare it to the new one side by side. Not just length and width, but also the frame thickness and the way the edges are shaped. If they're noticeably different, you may have the wrong part even if it kind of fits. A filter that's slightly off can still slide in, but it may not seal, and it can create bypass airflow or a door that barely latches and later pops loose over bumps. Now, about timing. If you're the kind of person who likes a routine, the best routine is the one that matches your environment. If you drive in dusty conditions or you're sensitive to allergies, check it more often. If you mostly drive in clean conditions, you can go longer. The point is, don't wait until the fan sounds like it's working overtime. A cabin filter is cheap insurance for comfort, and it reduces the amount of junk that ends up deeper in the HVAC box. And that's really the hidden trap of this job. It looks too simple, so people rush it. They skip the damper, force the glove box, ignore the airflow arrow, and then they're stuck with a broken tab or worse airflow than before. If you take it slow for the first 2 minutes, the rest is genuinely easy. So if you came here for cabin air filter replacement in Toyota Corolla Cross, you now know the exact path: empty glove box, disconnect the damper, compress the sides to clear the stops, open the filter door carefully, match the airflow arrow, seat the filter properly, and reassemble without forcing anything. Finally, after you've driven for a day or two, pay attention to 2 things. First, does the airflow feel consistent at the same fan setting? Second, do you hear any new rattles from the glove box area over bumps? If both are good, you're done, and you've just handled one of the most satisfying little maintenance jobs, because the result is immediate, cleaner air, better flow, and a cabin that doesn't smell like last season's pollen. And if something still feels off, treat it like a clue, not a failure. A cabin filter is step 1, not a magic wand. But it's the step that's easiest to get right once you know the few details that people usually miss. That's why cabin air filter replacement in Toyota Corolla Cross is quick, but not careless.